Welcome back. In today's video, this is the third in the series. He's another DC villain. We're going to be doing Bane. So if you want to check out the previous tutorials, go into the DC tutorials playlist and you will find the first two in the series. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put a dot in the center of our page, and then we're going to map it out on the left and right, roughly how big we want the circle. Then we're just going to connect the dots and draw a circle in the middle of the page, like so. So just put the extra dots there to help me line it up, and I know roughly how big to go. Then I want you to take your ruler and you're going to draw a line straight down the middle. Then once you've got a line down the middle, we're going to do a line across, horizontally. I'm just checking that they're both roughly the same width. So I'm just going to make the circle a little bit bigger. So I've gone roughly 5 centimeters to the left and 5 centimeters to the right. So I'm just checking here, 5 centimeters, and then ruler, straight line, vertically. So now we've got 3 vertical lines and then 1 horizontal. And then I'm just going to do one a little bit higher up at the bottom of the circle, so like an inch up. And that'll do for now. That'll get us started with the framework. And then once you've done that, we're just going to mark a little dot to the left hand side and a little dot to the right hand side, equally the same distance. And that's how big we're going to do the eye. So the gap between the 2 dots is how big we're going to do each eye on the left and right. So it's like you could draw 3 eyes in a row, but we're just going to draw the eyes on the left and right hand side, and then the nose is the same width. So then we're just going to make a start on the eyebrows. So we're going to do like a little U shape on both sides where the eye begins, and then we're going to draw a line straight up for like an aggressive face on the eyebrows. So you're making like a frown. And then we're just going to draw the eye at the top like an oblong, relatively flat on the top, and then curve it down to the side. And then underneath we're going to come around and then across. So down on the side and across. So it's like an oblong. Do that on both sides, so it's pretty much similar. Almost identical. Will be fine. Then we're just going to put in some little lines underneath the eye for his expression, and then some wrinkles on the sides of his eyes, 2 on both sides. And then we're going to do the eye at the top of his eyeball, so it's like a half circle we're going to do, because he's looking up and angry. So he's got some more creases in his skull. So from the middle part where his nose is, I'm going to draw a big flat U. I'm just going to rub out the expression lines underneath his face for now. And I'll put in some pupils on his eyeballs. And then I'm going to curve round his eyebrow. So it goes up and then curves round with a little hump on top. And they go narrower as they go round his skull, round his face. It just has a tiny little bump at the top as it curves round. It's the same on the other side. I'm just going to flatten it out. His eye curls round and it goes beyond the little lines that are at the side of his eye, and then it comes straight down. So it has almost like a little hook at the top part, and then curves round his skull, like so. I'm just going to make that a little bit more subtle. And I'm going to draw a line so his eyebrows are in line, as you can see. So that's pretty symmetrical on both sides. similar gaps at each end. Now for his nose, he's got the big mask on. So I'm just going to draw a line straight down the middle. And I'm just going to dot where I'm lining up the top part of his mask. So I just follow the line straight up diagonally. So just thicken these lines up a little bit. Right, so just in line with the eyebrow, I'm going to draw a little like line for his temple, like a crease in his skin. Same on the other side, in line with the eyebrow, almost an identical mirror line across from it. And these are like maybe veins in his temple, sort of thing. Now from here, we need to get the shape of his skull, of his cheekbones. So I'm going to draw inward. This is the part where his mask is. So I need to roughly map out how low. So the same width from the eye to the cheekbone, I'm going to do the same distance for the chin. So each 3 segments will be the same. And that'll be the bottom of his chin. And I'm going to curve his mask round so it's like an oxygen mask, like a round mouse. That'll come all the way down. And then I'm going to draw like a semi-circle at the top part of the left side of the mask, and we're going to put a tube coming out. So we draw a circle around the tube. The same on the right side. I'm going to draw a part circle and then a curve for the pipe to come out. Now the top part of his mask is in line with these tubes. They go all the way towards the creases at the side of his eyes, very close to them. We're going to curve them all the way up to as guidelines. Now we're going to draw in the top part of the mask so it connects in the middle. So a diagonal line down to the outside of the tube on both sides. Like so. And then we can add in these markings on each side of the eye again. Just extend his eyebrows down a little. I'm just going to thicken his eyelids up a little bit. Like so. Now we've got the basic shapes. We darken the eyes up. And we're just going to make a start on the side of his head. So where you would put the ears is where we're going to bring out the mask. So at the bottom part of his little oxygen bit mask, we're going to join it round. So we're going to go out and then curve it round towards his ears. So right here, curve it up, level on both sides, around to the top part where the top of the ear would be. So higher up from the eyebrows, near the vein marks. Then we're going to draw the bottom part of the first tube on the left. So we're going to curve it round and put some little lines across it just to show like the direction, to make it look 3D. So we curve it at the bottom to cap it off, and then a little circle going around it so it looks like it's going into the mask. From there it just goes down like a V. And it's pretty symmetrical because we're drawing from the front. We'll do the same on the other side. So we'll curve the tube on the right around, cap it off, half circle going around it so it looks like it's going inside the mask. And then we put some lines on it again to curve it around and give it that 3D effect. Curve it over and under. And the same little curved line on the right side. Try and make it symmetrical. I'm going to rub that out, try again. Make it a little bit closer to the mark. And we're just going to extend the line in the middle, bring it down in line with the other two. And then the bottom part, so it has like a big circle again, oblong circle, coming out from the bottom. And that'll go up and around, similar size and shape on both sides. That goes around the other circle and around towards halfway up the tube. Then his chin comes around that. So if we just join that down like this, and then his chin, so it's got a line horizontally across, and then it just curves like a normal chin. And I'm just gonna thicken up the lines on the mask going around his face, across his cheekbones. Just gonna thicken that up on both sides. And then he's got like his neckline curves round towards the bottom part as guidelines on both sides. So we just do a nice curved line like this, and then we're going to bring his neck up in line with his guidelines that we set earlier. So he's got a nice thick neck with this big muscly supervillain. Like so. So there's his neck. And then at this point, might be a good idea to rub some of the guidelines out and clean up his picture a little bit and see what's staying, what's going. So we rub them out off the mask because we've pretty much drawn what we need to. Just want to make this a little bit more symmetrical. I'm going to curve the line up a little bit and then rub the inside line out. Then I can just add in the marks, the wrinkle marks on his eyes again. Now we're just going to start filling in the inside of his mask so he has like a double layered line parallel to the other one, following the same direction. This is going to give it a thicker, more detailed 3D look. And then it just has a square beneath it going up the side of the mask. On that we're going to draw a sideways circle with another circle inside it. And then we're going to add in a few more lines up the side that'll curve around. And this is going to get, again, the 3D look going around the side of his head. So then the next one comes, it joins onto the middle one. And then it's going to curve around again So it's the tube part of this, and we'll rub out the edge and join it up a little further down. So he's got like 2 tubes coming out the side, and that'll be the same on the other side as well. So now on the other side, we're going to do the same approach, curve that top part a bit on his mask, and then we need to find in the same line, same height, he's got the square first that goes up the side of the mask, and just thicken the veins up a little bit, and then add some into the neck. So he's got like 2 going straight down like that, and then a few waving through each other. We'll double them up to make them look thicker. Do the same on this left side. So got 1 going straight down, 1 curving through, another 1 curving off that, like drawing tree branches. There you go. It's got some like roidy veins. There's a big meathead. And then, so his neck looks a lot fuller like that. We can jump back on the left side of the mask. So, circle on an angle, so it's not a complete circle. It's like a side oblong circle to go up the side of the mask. And then we're going to draw another circle inside the mask. So it's like a donut ring. Just make that a little bit bigger because it's not the same size as the one on the right side. So we'll make it a little bit longer, rub out the middle, make the circle inside a little bit bigger as well, like so. That's a bit better. Just curve this a little bit more, a little bit rounded edges. Right, I'm just going to rub out this entire left side of the mask. I'm going to line it up directly with the other side using a ruler. So I've got 3 markings, the top of the mask and then where the tubes are going to fit. So I'm just going to curve them at the bottom and then attempt it going up from the bottom. So the bottom one curves into the middle one, and then the middle, being the second tube, curves upwards towards the top of the mask. So the top of the mask then curves around just like on the other side, going around his skull. So we just add that final line in, and that looks a lot better, more symmetrical and in line with the other side. And I'll just extend this square on the right side, make it a little bit longer to try and match the other side. Just need to join the left side of the cheekbone chin up to the mask. So we just curve that like a right angle, same as the other one. And then onto the head. So his head goes up at the top, and we need to curve the top part of the mask. So we're going to do diagonal line up, and then it starts to straighten up a little bit but not fully. Then we can curve his bald head around, nice and round on the sides until it joins up. So we're just going to line it up with the mask so that they're both same. I'm just going to put a little mark in here on both sides because I'm going to make his head a little bit shorter. So I'm going to curve it, just rub that line out. I'm going to curve his head lower down on these guidelines here. So curve that inward and then rub out the old lines that we did for his head, so his head's not as long, because the top part of his mask is going to come over the top of the head. So just make that nice and round on the side of his left side, and it goes slightly bent to the top, so it's like his head's being squashed down underneath. So it's not a perfect round line. Then we're just going to extend a couple lines on the top and do a nice round arch at the top part of his head. That's going to be his mask. And then we put the lines on each side of it to make it look like it's going down the back of his head. So I'm just going to rub out some of the guidelines now because we don't need these. And rub it all out, the lines that are helping us. So we'll just be left with the picture. So that's pretty much his head done. Once you've rubbed out all the guidelines, we're going to go back onto the middle part of his mask now, and it has a parallel line on the inside on both sides. You just want to follow exactly where the other line went. So it's like two separate lines. It goes up on a diagonal and then cuts in a little bit and another diagonal line. You make sure they're nice and parallel, just like tracks. That's like a border. I'm just going to curve a few more details on the bottom part of the mask. I'm going to rub these out and bring them closer to the middle point, like so. So it's not as curved as before, it's more straight. And make the chin a little bit more sharper and his neck a little shorter, and then rub that line out. So his neck's not as long. And now to finish off his body, we're going to go for the coat look that he wore in The Dark Knight Rises. That big winter coat that he has on with a big collar. So we're going to put his collar start really high up near his eyes. So because I've decided to do the coat method, I'm going to have to rub his neck out a little bit, because I'm going to put him an open collar. So we're going to draw more of his neck now. So we'll put some veins extending down a little further. We'll curve his shirt down and then cap it off. And we're just going to draw a few lines either side for the interior of his coat and the vest, because usually it wears like that big vest top that he has in the movie. So I'm just going to double some lines up here, do them wavy for the material of the coat. So it's like a border on each side of the collar. And just throw a few wrinkles down the sides of the material. And that'll pretty much finish us off. Will look a lot better when we go over it in a pen and thicken some of them lines up, which is his next step. Go over the entire drawing in a black biro, thicken some lines up, and that'll look a lot better. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.